Hi, this is Linda Burton
And this is Leslie Bracero.
with Let's Talk.
Hi, Linda. I am so excited about this topic today because I want to get your opinion on what are some things that causes relationships to be destroyed, called relationship destroyers. What do you think?
Wow, there's a couple of them. The first one I can think of is how important it is to keep your word. And I picked that one because we don't realize the things we say, the promise we make, how it affects the other person, not just in our relationship with our spouse or with our kids, but with our coworkers, of deadlines and different things like that.
That's right. That's right. And you know, Linda, I always go back to this because I try to pattern my life to this. I'm not perfect, but I try to pattern keeping my word and making sure that it lines up with things that I can honestly do. I don't want to set some expectation out there that I'm like, I'm going to do it and not do it. And then that causes a disappointment because I know that a person and their word are one.
Yes.
So if I'm saying I'm going to do something, you know, back in the day, shaking the hand was a binding contract. If I shook your hand, that meant I was going to do it. And you shook my hand, that meant, hey, okay, this is going to be something that's done. But now that's not the case anymore. So I think in our era, integrity is not high on the priority list like it used to be.
Yeah, because I remember seeing TV shows or stuff when they say let's pinky swear, and then you see them in the picture behind them crossing their fingers, or different things like that. And it's like, what does that mean? It's like you're not planning on keeping your word. It's like who you are is what you say, and if you can't say it and do it, then you have to relook of who you are. What do you represent? So
that's right. And I like how you gave that example about the work situation, because there are people who are relying on you to meet deadlines. And if you have not done your part, that's going to cause the whole project to fall apart.
Yes. Yes. And then that's about teamwork and working together as a team. And when you don't feel like you're working as a team, how many other issues will that become, out of that?
Yeah.
When I feel like I can't depend on you, when you say you're going to do this, and in my heart, I really feel like she never did. Every time I have to call her and make her do it. What does that make me think and feel about you? Without you even doing anything else, and what you're who you are, your name represents you. So that means every time I say your name, it's like, that's what I think of. Okay, they're not reliable, they're not responsible, they don't have integrity. It's like, where is the integrity of what you say? Where do you stand of what you do and say? Exactly. And then it breaks down to other things. It makes it so much bigger than that.
Yeah. And even if promotions come up, that your name is going to be last on the list, because they're going to say, oh, so-and-so, she's not reliable, he's not on time, he says he's going to do something, never does it. Well, you get passed over. Promotion gets passed over you because you have not proven yourself to be worthy of that promotion. So it's so important that even little things that we think are little, they are big. They play a big role in our next step.
Think about for kids. Just kids of their parents saying different things, making different promises, and don't go through. Just think of how it damaged them, not just then, but sometimes long term.
Oh, my lands. And I can speak to that because I know growing up as a child, I had a very important person in my life who my mother would say, okay, don't believe that person until you see the whites of their eyes. And I would say, Mama, what does that mean, the whites of their eyes? And she would say, well, if you can see that person standing right in front of you, you can see their eyes, that means they're going to do it. So, and that followed me even as an adult. It caused other people who were people of authority figures, I would not trust them. My first inclination was, are they going to do it? Are they going to do it? Because of what was always being said to me growing up as a child. So it's important that we have to keep our word in front of kids. I'm a teacher, and I know my students would ask me, Miss Bracero, are we going to do this? And tongue in cheek, boy, I want to say no because I don't want to do it, but I'll say, Okay, yes, we will. When are we going to do it? When are we going to do it? And I'm like, okay, we're going to get to it. And I have to make sure, purposely make sure that we do it before the end of that day, because I don't want that child to go home and say, Miss Purcell lied.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So it's
That's-
true. We have to watch what we say in front of kids, because that makes a lasting impression.
Yes. What else do you think that destroy relationships?
Well, I think one of the other things that destroy relationships is lying. And I
Mm,
guess that's going back to not keeping our word. But you know, if you can't do something, don't say you're going to do it.
yeah.
And especially in I would say, a husband and wife relationship, because I know personally that I, my husband is a stickler to what he says he's going to do. If he says he's going to do it, he is going to do it. And he holds me to that same level of expectation. And when I don't follow through with my word, and it can be one thing that might have thrown me off,
Mhm.
it causes a problem. And then he's kind of looking at me side eye, like, are you really going to do it? You said you were going to do it. Are you going to do it this time? So, yeah, we have to be careful, even in our marriages, making sure we keep our word.
Yeah, but even so, it's hard when, for me, when somebody say they lie because they don't want to hurt that person, or they lie because they're trying to do what's best for that person. And I know when my kids was little, I said I would never lie to them. Do a shot hurt? Yeah, I was honest, like yeah. But by the time you get the water, to when you drink some water, you feel better. So I remember, I remember when they were little, we act like we couldn't find a water fountain. So it could be time to pass to make them, get over it. And when they did, it's like, oh, it worked. So they thought it worked. But then the older they got, they start looking for the water fountain before they go in to get their shot. So then they'll run to the water fountain. They're like, wait a minute. And I was like, well, it's the time that the goal was the time, and you couldn't understand that. So I explained, yeah, about time you get the water, you'll feel better.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, I didn't hear the time part. And then the other thing was with like Christmas and holidays. I told them the truth, about the Easter Bunny, about Santa Claus, and I'm like, no, that's just, I'm going to be upfront with you, and we just made that decision to always tell them the truth. And
Yeah.
to me, it was because I didn't want to get to something that they can't see, like religion. You can't see it, and I'm asking you to believe me. When
Yeah.
there's, I want my word to be so strong in their heart that they'll know mama won't lie. Mama
Yeah.
will always tell me the truth. Somehow it might hurt. And then there's things that I know that's going to hurt them to say it. I usually tell them, and they know this now. Do you really want to know? I'll tell you if you really want to know. And there's times they got it. Like, no, I guess I'm okay. I'm good. And other times, like, yeah, I'm like, okay, but are you sure? Like, I'm trying to like, this is what is going to happen before I tell you. But I
Yeah.
always felt like I'm going to tell them the truth. I want to make sure I have that relationship that mom is her word. What she say, what she does is real. She's going to stick to it. She means it, and she's going to stand behind it. So,
Exactly.
and if I don't know, I'll say, I don't know. It's not
Yeah.
about trying to look cool or smart. I don't know. Well, let's find out together.
Exactly. And Linda, just hearing you say that, it's so funny, because when we can turn around and ask our children, or ask, like in your case, I could ask your kids, what can you say about your mother? I'm sure they could say she always kept her word. Or what can you say about your dad? My dad kept his word. And that says volumes as a parent, how important it is to be that way for our children, because they're, like the Bible says, you're going to rise up and call you blessed.
Mhm.
A virtuous woman. I don't want my child, or, I don't have children, but I wouldn't want people around me to rise up and say, that lusty boy, oh boy, you might want to look the other way when you see her coming. So yeah.
And it is an honor to have someone say that or think about you
Mm-hmm.
with that. I remember when the kids was in their teenage years, I ended up trying to play video games with them, and I couldn't find a name. And believe it or not, my husband and the kids actually picked that name for me to do it. Virtuous Woman. That was my name. And
Oh,
it's like, it's like, Oh,
That's nice. I love
it's
that.
neat, like, like it's all that hard work, all that, and I say hard work because you can make a commitment, you can make a promise, and there's things that happen, you're tired,
Yeah.
things that happen, you're running out of time that you just can't do it,
Yeah.
and you make it, you just do all you can, and they see it,
That's
that all you can to make it work. And
mm-hmm.
to the point that when you can't, or when I can't, I used to say, you know what, I am so sorry, I can't.
Yeah.
But that be the first thing I do in the morning. And that usually is the first thing we do in the morning. I try to make it happen, or give them a date and time saying, no, this is what's going to happen. And I kept it. So there's times, things happen that it just doesn't fall your way for
Mm,
whatever reason. Other things popped up to block it. But as long as you try your best and they see it,
yeah.
and they see that you tried your hardest, they see that it's just you didn't feel like, or you didn't want to,
Mm-hmm.
that makes a humongous difference.
Now, Linda, what about parents who try to be their child's friend when they are young? Like, hey, I'm going to be cool with my child. And what kind of outcome does that create?
I actually think that confused them. We had a friend of ours, um, she had to watch her kids, and she always tried to be their friend.
Mm,
And one day she said, why your kids and everybody listen to you guys but won't listen to me? And we had to tell her, because they don't know if you're playing with them or they're, what I mean, like you can't have both titles. When
sure.
they're older and mature, you can the relationship change, but in that beginning age, they're looking for you for guidance, they're looking for you to lead over them, to tell them what to do, how to do it, what's right and wrong. You can't do both.
Yeah,
They're still learning.
that's right.
So
That's right. And that's a relationship destroyer, wouldn't you
yeah,
say?
it is, it
Mhm,
is,
mhm.
yes.
Yeah,
It's like a boss. You don't see your boss trying to be your best friend, trying to please you. Their goal is to get a job done. They have a deadline. They have things that need to be. They can't be your best friend at the same time. Now, after work in a different setting, they can, but
that
not at that moment. You have to learn how to separate the two.
exactly. I remember a principal saying we were in a training, and she said, "I can't be your friend from 9 to 5. I'm not your friend.
Yeah.
But after 5, okay, yeah, we can kick it. We can talk about whatever, whatever. But between those 2 hour or that 8 hour time span,
Mhm.
we are strictly professional. We are strictly business. So, and it does help you as a subordinate to respect your role and to respect their role. So
Yeah.
you're not looking to them to be your buddy or their confidant or anything like that. No, I'm looking to them, like you said, for guidance. You're supposed to know. So help me to know what's the what. So I
Yeah.
know how to navigate these waters.
Another one I just thought of is expectations.
Mm.
We
Mhm.
sometimes make it too big. I'm not saying you don't supposed to have any, but what do you have and is it realistic? Can you even do it
Yeah.
faithfully? So sometimes we just need a more general, like my expectation from my husband is to stay faithful and to come
Yeah.
home every night. It's not to make me feel like a queen, or all this other stuff, to make me happy, to make me feel loved. You
Mhm.
know, it has to stay that way. Now he does do those things,
Yes.
but but you have to bring it back to keeping it more simple, and then when you get those other things, look at it as a blessing, not that he's supposed to.
Yeah.
And that's what we get, because expectations make it seem like he's supposed to do that.
Mhm.
We want that,
Yeah.
but we can't force that person to do those things. What do you think about that?
Exactly. Exactly. Because when you put those types of expectations on people that are unrealistic, you're looking for them to be your God.
Mhm.
And they're not. I'm not my husband's God. I'm his spouse. And we are supposed to support each other and build each other up, but I'm not filling a void for him and he can't fill a void for me. First and foremost, my relationship with the Lord is primary, and
Mhm.
then everything else is an additive.
And God is the one who fills those voids, not men. And
Mhm,
we
mhm.
forget that. We get that out of place. So we have to remember who does what.
Yeah.
So,
Remember your role.
yes.
I think that helps eliminate a lot of relationship destroyers, you
Mhm.
know. Strife is a big relationship destroyer. Arguments.
Yeah.
What do you say about that, Linda? How do we alleviate all that strife in our home, strife with our spouses, strife with our kids, strife on our jobs? How do we alleviate that?
Wow. One of the things we were talking about was giving goodwill towards each other,
Mhm,
having that goodwill, not thinking that person are against us, making sure that we remember we're on the same team. How
mhm,
can we work together? So that's
mhm,
one. And the biggest thing for me is, and how I got taught is, if we're sharing something, I'm supposed to take the smaller piece and give the other person it's just a way of showing love. It's a way of just honoring that person, showing respect.
mhm.
And then why of even the Bible talk about the last is first, the first is last. Be last. Don't always think you have to have your way, you have to be
Mhm,
first. And when you start doing that, the person see it and they want to do that back for you. And
mhm,
that's how it starts, how it gets, get going.
mhm,
So what do
mhm.
you think about that?
I agree. And I think about how someone said you want to have a competition to outlove each other.
Yes.
You can be the one that can outlove. Oh, let me get up and let me make breakfast. I want to surprise him and make breakfast for him. And he's gonna try to outdo that. And oh, I'm gonna make the bed and clean the house or whatever. So I think if we're in a mindset of outdoing each other in serving, outdoing each other and showing love, I think that would help alleviate a lot of strife because, like you said, Linda, when we get into those, it's because we're feeling like we have been slighted,
Mhm.
or we're feeling like we have been rejected or neglected or whatever it has been. But a lot of those things might be in our minds too.
The other thing is have a win-win thought or focus with the other person.
Okay. What do you mean?
Win-win. It's my job is to help both of us win. You win and I win on whatever disagreement we're having. What
Mhm.
can I do that you're winning? And you're going to think, what can I do to have me win? And what am I willing to compromise so we both can win? And there's so many different ways to do it. One of the ways is just simply if you have an idea and I have an idea and we just can't get along, it could be where we're going to eat at or whatever. Well, you
Mhm.
write down 10 choices and I'll write down 10 choices. And out of those 10 choices, usually one of them is a compromise or one of them you both agree on.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's not about you won this time, I guess I'll win next time, or you won twice and I never win, or it always seems like it's your way. When you have
Yeah.
that win-win mindset, you don't do that. It's simply I won't write down or say I'm going to do something that I'm not willing to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the first four to five of them, it is going to be your way because that's just our natural reaction. But
Hmm.
when you have to write down 10, usually the last five you have to figure out how to compromise.
How
And
do you
that's
get
why
to
the
that
number
point?
is 10, instead of five
Yeah.
or three, because then, you knocked out all of just your way and you're forced to say, okay, I guess she can have this, or I guess I'm willing to compromise on that, you
Yeah.
know.
Speak to that person, Linda, who's not there yet, who feels like, it's what I want. How do we get to that point where you're saying that, okay, I'm going to give you my 10 and I'm going to be willing to hear your 10 and be willing to compromise? How do you do that?
When you're not willing to do that, it's usually underground hurt. It's usually something else there.
Okay.
And you feel like this will help me get even or close to even. And as
Mhm.
long as you have that mindset, it can never, it won't work. It can't work.
Okay.
The other partner, the only way it'll work is the other partner is doing so much more to make it work. And after a while, they'll get burned out.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it does work for a while, but it won't work long term. You have to
Mhm.
let go. You have to forgive the person and let that stuff go and be
Mhm.
willing to compromise, willing to work together, remembering you're on the same team.
Yeah.
I remember when I teach some of the classes, we actually have them make a team name. We have them make pick their team colors. We make them, and they usually pick their wedding colors.
Mhm.
We have, do you have a team mascot? And that's their dog or whatever. Do you have, what are your players? And that's usually your kids. What
Oh,
do your
that's
team look like?
nice.
And we actually have them make a team. And then the following week in class, they have to bring back something to represent that team. So they'll make wearing, a shirt or a hat or just a picture of what their flag is going to look like or whatever, or if they don't have any pets, you still have to make a mascot. So what would that look like? What would that be,
Okay.
So, and some people are so creative. They say a tree, and it's so weird how they pick the tree of giving life and being fruitful for each other and all this other stuff. It's just amazing of what people can do. But the
Mhm.
main thing is you're on the same team. And if we keep that in mind, that we're working together, oh man, you can do almost anything with that in mind, of I can do as far as I can go, and then you do as far as you can go. That would re-energize me, and I can go a little farther, and just things happen. So it's having
That's
that
good.
mindset of the same team.
I love that, London. When you say team, I think about the acronym Together, Everyone Achieves More. And
Ooh,
that's true when
yeah,
we are working together as a team. So
I like
I
that.
think one of the to counteract that relationship destroyer is to be a team player, to be a
Yes,
team player. Yeah,
yes.
I love it. I
And
love
what
it.
are you doing for your team? Are you holding them back? Or are you bringing them forward? What position? What are you playing on that team?
Hmm.
So,
Hmm.
and even when we did that, we picked who's the owner of the team, who's the coach, who's the assistant coach, and if you're a Bible believing person, you would say God, and then the husband and wife are the coaches and team,
Yep.
co-coach, and then the players are the kids or even the in-laws, whoever is staying in that
Hmm.
house.
Hmm.
So it's just making the whole act of this is a team, how are we going to do it and what it looked like, and when you write it out, it's fun. And one thing I learned, and this is why I did it, is we usually know, or we fall in place of where we are at, but sometimes we never discuss it. And
Hmm.
simply by discussing, babe, do you want to be my co-partner? Do you want to be my coach?
Yeah,
Instead of just saying you are,
exactly.
that just bring back that unity. It's almost saying, I'm willing, I still love you, I still want to do my vows with you, I still, it's like renewing your marriage when you
Yeah.
asked again, like, do you want to be the coach, do you want to be the assistant coach, who is our
Mhm.
captain, who's our leader, who owns the team, who's the players. When you
Mhm.
talk and write all that out, it just re-wakens up something to just make you have that, like, yeah, 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 we got this. So
Yeah.
I love that.
That's that's good, Linda. I love that. I love what you're saying. And I think our audience will definitely get a lot out of that, especially the team mentality, because that's really what it's about. If we want to do better and we want to do more, we have to come together as a team. No man is an island. We can't do it by ourselves.
Yeah.
We need each other. And that's what this is all about. It's about relationships. Relationships is relating.
Yes.
Mhm.
Cool. Is there anything else?
No, I think that says a lot, Linda. I think we want to leave everyone with that thought that teamwork, like they say, makes the dream work. And it's true. I know these little cliches are a little passe, but they're very powerful. We
Yeah,
do
and I
achieve
think we
more.
gave a lot of examples as well of things that can damage relationships.
Mhm.
And there's still a whole bunch more that we didn't name. But at the same time, I think this is a good opportunity for our listeners to think, what am I doing? Not what the other person's doing. We already know that. But what am I doing? And
Mhm.
sometimes when you realize what you're doing, you'll see why your partner's doing what they're doing. And if you can't think of why you're doing, I mean, if you can't think that you're doing anything wrong to damage relationship, then you should think this. Why are they doing that to damage the relationship?
Yeah,
And usually it's because you have done or you're doing something to damage it and they're still there.
that's right. That's
So
right. That's good.
that going back to apologize or make that change or just even acknowledging, it
Mhm.
helps so much. When you try to avoid it and not say sorry, that's right there kills the relationship.
Ooh, that's a damaging, that's right there. That's a relationship breaker right there.
Yes.
That
Yes.
destroys those relationships. And I
Right.
hope our audience right there got some of those nuggets out of there. If we want to avoid destroying relationships, let's make sure that we are being sensitive to each other. And
Yeah.
hey, if you like what you heard today, please be sure to subscribe to this channel, hit that like button if you want to hear more topics just like this. Right, Linda?
Yes. And you're
Life's lessons, laughter and love. What's our goal? Making relationships that last.
yes. Thank you for listening, everyone. Until next week, we'll see you next time.
All
Bye.
right. Bye.